Fine. In our last video, we define our data layer part. So in this video, what we will do, we will define our controller and the routes. So we have our controller folders. Inside controllers, we have our project controller.js file. So basically, controller would be talk with our use cases. So from our app.js file, we will not use use cases directly. We will use all the methods by help of controller. So let's define our class project controllers. Okay. Now we give a class which name a project controller. Fine. Now what we have to do, we will define the constructor of our class. Okay, let's define the constructor of our class. This class, what this could be take, this could take our use cases. This constructor is basically dependent on our domain layer use cases. So as of now, we have only one use case, that is get all project use case. So we will use that inside while defining our constructor get all projects use case. And once we completed that, we will export this controller so that we can use inside our app.js file or whatever the file we want to use. So as of now, we have only this. Okay, the one use case. So in future, if we have some other use case like create project, so we will add it later. So but as of now, we have this only. So now what we will do, export this controller. So how we can do that, module dot exports and give the class name and whatever the name you want. Okay. So in our controller, we have one method that is get all projects, because we have to call the use cases here. That was get all project, which we define at domain layer, and we know that is asynchronous, so we will define this as a asynchronous. So and this will take a request and response to pass as a parameter when we call with our database, when it data layer data source part get all project. Okay, but in get all project scenario, we do not need to use request part in our use case. So let's what we will do here, we will call this use case method which we defined over in our use case execute, which you can see here. We have get all project use cases here. There we will define execute method. Let's rename it execute. Okay, you can use this inside your controller. So we have a constructor of our class. Okay, then we have get all projects method here, and inside this project we are calling the method by helping of this our get all project use case. Okay, and what we can do now is we know that this is future, so we will mark is await. Okay, and store the value in variable called projects. Fine. And the next thing what we will do, we will change this response in JSON format so the client side easily can use. So we will pass request.json. This is response, not a request, because we are using response. And simply what we will do, and we can do one more thing, is that we can add this code in try catch if we are getting some error. So we will handle that. We will add inside our try catch block. Okay, try catch, this will take an error and will return it. We will add this part inside a try block, and in our error block what we will do, we will return response. Okay, in our error part we will return response status, and the status code would be 500, and we return JSON object, and there would be one field that would be error, and we will see that as of now internal server error, and we'll pass this error which we have here. Okay, and what we have to do, we have to use like this. Okay, so what we are doing, we are using get all project method here. Inside get all project we are calling our project use case clause, and in there we have execute method. This will execute our query at data source layer part, and if we are getting response, then we are returning this project in our JSON format. If we are getting some kind of error, then what we will do, simply we will return this 500 with JSON internal server error with respective error. Okay, so let's try to understand our routes parts, where we will define all the routes, or you can say that all the API endpoint where the client side can access our database. Fine. Okay, so let's come on our project routes file. So we will use our express module here to create a routes of our projects. So what we will do, so firstly we have to import the express module. So we have to import it like this. We have to require express. Once we got this, we will create an instance of a router from express. So what we will do, we will add one more variable that will be const router, and this will get from where, our express module. So we have our router instance of a router class. So what we will do, we will export our method module.export. This will take our dependency Basically, in our dependency, we will register all our controller of our project and the different services which are required for our project. So we have our express module and we have our instance of our router, express router, and then we are exporting our method which expecting our dependency. Okay, so now what we will do, we will get the project controller from this dependency. Okay, so how we will do that? We'll use this object and use the project controller. Fine. The next thing what we can do is that we can define a different route of our project. As of now, we can have a get method, and the endpoint we are saying that we will give as get. Okay, and we will assign the method with project controller. And as of now, what the method we can give inside our project controller, we have get all project method over here. We have, if you go inside project controller here you can find a method get all projects. So we will this and will bind with our controller object which we get from this exported method. Fine. So as of now we have this one route get where we are binding this get all project method. Okay, and finally what we will do, we will simply return our router object. Fine. So that's it for this video. In the next part what we will do, we will see how we can use this all the things inside our app.js file and we create the first get method API in our project. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thanks.